everybody, welcome back to MAPOP Sports. This is Grandy. If this is your first time here, welcome everybody. Today, I just want to talk a little bit, because over the weekend and yesterday, I had a lot of orders, and I wanted to talk a little bit about shipping. I had some people kind of ask me a little bit about that, but also I think I spoke about this before. I'll post a video at the end here. There's a link. I did a video about my packaging and everything, but we'll talk about that, of what I do. I still do the same way. So number one, let's talk about equipment for shipping, what I currently use. I currently use the Dymo 4XL, I believe, label printer, thermal label printer. Here, you can search it. I'll put it up here somewhere. So this thermal label printer, the cool thing about it, it doesn't use ink. Thermal label printers, I highly recommend if you're shipping, whether you sell on eBay, whether you sell on Whatnot, whether you sell on any other platforms, and you have a vast amount of shipments, even whether sports cards or anything at all. Anything you're shipping, especially if it's your own business and you're running it yourself, I highly recommend a thermal printer because you don't have to pay for ink ever. Two, simple. They print out the 4x6. I think the label is 4x6. So you're gonna have to pay for that. It does get a little pricey, but price that into your shipping costs. That's what I do. But the cool thing, you print it out, it's a sticker. It sticks right onto your packaging, your envelopes, anything you use. And I feel like it's just super convenient, super easy. That way you don't have to print it out, cut it out, things like that. You literally print it out, rip it out, take the tape, and it's a sticker. It's a sticker, simple as that. And it makes shipping completely a breeze, I feel like. So highly recommend that. There's a bunch of other companies, but Dymo's the one I use. I think Rollo is one of the bigger ones also. I haven't had any issues with my Dymo. I really, I think it's a time saver, convenience. It is pricey, as you can see. I think I showed it a little bit earlier. It is a little bit pricey, but it's one of those things where you invest into convenience. I feel that you have to pay a little bit extra, so you convenience, and then on top of that, I don't have to worry about writing anything down, printing anything, cutting anything out. It literally prints it out for me. Don't have to replace the ink, connect it to my laptop, computer, whatever, print it out. Super simple, super easy. The packaging, you guys have seen the video. If you haven't seen the video, if I do ship, it's just the lower end cards, anything that's under like $20, and I ship it ESC, the eBay standard envelope. That's what I usually use, simplest way. I highly recommend that, 63 cents per card if it's under 1 ounce. What I normally do with that is it provides a little bit of tracking, which is kind of cool for the customer, and then it's just super simple. Click it, print. Simple that, and then I tape it onto, put it on the envelope, and then when I put the card in, I usually put it in like a Card Saver 1. The Card Saver 1s are the smaller one than the Card Savers 2. If you guys are wondering what a Card Saver is, it's just those plastic. Here, let me think. I have one here. Let me get one real quick. There we go. I do have one. Perfect. So like Card Saver 1s, they're like this. I don't know if you can see this. So I put it in this. I tape it. I put a what do you call it? Painter's tape on this, so that way the card doesn't fall out. I put this inside the envelope. It protects the card, and yet it's super thin. And I tape it into the envelope so that it doesn't move around, and then I ship it for the ESE wise. Now, the cool thing about this, like I said, is super thin, because keep in mind, the USPS only allows like less than 1/4 of an inch. So it's like less than 1/4 of an inch. It's super thin. It has to be on the envelope. So you got to keep that in mind, because otherwise it can't get machined, and then your order and your card will actually get shipped back to you. Sometimes if you put like a heavy duty top loader, sometimes they don't work. Sometimes they go through the machine fine, sometimes they don't. I'm just giving you guys a heads up from my experience. I no longer use the top loaders on that, because I feel like I get either rejected, damaged cards, because they get stuck in the machine. It always an issue, I feel like. However, if you are going to use the top loaders, this is what I recommend. There's $1.11. I think I talked about this before. $1.11 shipping. So it's a 3 ounce ESE. So you still get the tracking, and the ESE is the $1.11. On this one, you can use up to 3 ounces. It can be a little bit thicker, but still keep in mind, it got to be under that 1/4 of an inch. And the thing is with this one, I always put on my envelope, do not bend do not machine. They will hand sort and hand deliver this to USPS because you're paying that additional like 50 cents if you think about it. So they will handle it. Well, they should. I'm not going to say 100%. They should. USPS should handle this by hand, and especially if I put on there, do not bend, do not machine. I haven't had too many. I think maybe one out of, let's just say, maybe 300 orders, I may have had an issue where they may have accidentally bent it or machined it and it damaged the top loader, because it does have a top loader in this one now. But other than that, that's how I would recommend. And you can ship up to 3 ounces. So, I mean, that's 6, 7, cards, I believe you can fit in there. You can put in a top loader. You can put in the thicker one, the card saver ones, which are a little bit bigger. You can fit a little bit more cards on that. So that's what I would normally do if it's just those typical kind of cards. So to kind of give everybody a heads up on that. And then the one thing that I have issues with are returns sometimes. It happens, guys. It's one of those things where, number one, if the card gets damaged or get lost. So this is the thing about the ESC. It's great by theory if the USPS scanned every single envelope on delivery. Because the thing is, they usually scan it when you go and drop it off at the post office, but it's the delivery. Sometimes they don't scan it, sometimes they do. I would say, this is from my experience, it might be different from anybody else. I would say about 90% of the time, they get scanned, delivered. I would say about 5 to 10% of the time they get delivered, they don't get scanned that they were delivered. It was confirmed. So the issue is you may run into a consumer base that will say they didn't get their card. Now, from my experience, I don't really have that. I do have some that say, I would say out of 100 orders, I might have maybe one, more like out of 200 orders, I may have 1 or 2 that will say, hey, I didn't receive my card. The funny thing is, eBay will back you up if the ESC or your tracking says it's delivered. If the ESC does not provide a delivery time or delivery date that it has been delivered, most likely you're gonna have to refund the customer. It is what it is. I usually just quickly refund it now. I don't even worry about them. I mean, they can open up the case they want. It doesn't matter if the tracking doesn't show it. In other words, the USPS probably delivered it, but just didn't scan it, or maybe delivered to the wrong place, or it got lost in the mail, whatever the case may be. I just refund them. There's no point of fighting, because number one, eBay would protect the customer, and number two, you don't know. USPS, once it gets out of your hand, it's kind of in their hands, is what it is. So I usually just refund, no questions asked, really, in my opinion. However, there are going to be some customers that I felt like that I've learned that it says delivered and yet they still open up a case or a refund. Doesn't happen very often. Like I said, maybe 1 every 200 or 100 orders, whatever the case may be. Very, very, very rare. It does happen. If it has been delivered and the ESC tracking shows it on the eBay that has been delivered and the USPS delivered it to them, eBay most likely will back you. I haven't had any issues on that. They will back you as the seller, protect you. And then I just tell the buyer, at that point, there's like 2 or 3 things they can do. I go, number one, it's kind of out of the seller's hand. They already shipped it and it says delivered. There's not much else we can do. Whatever address you provided in your eBay account is where it went. I try to give them, maybe a discount on the future orders, whatever the case may be, but to refund them the whole thing, it doesn't make sense to me because it's at the USPS at that point. So they can either open up a case with the United States Postal Service, or they can ask a neighbor, maybe they got delivered. It's kind of out of our hands as a seller. As much as, was there a better way to fix that? There really isn't. I mean, if USPS says they deliver it and they, this is the thing, they scan this, it has been delivered, not much else as a buyer, as a seller you can do. So I try to give them a discount maybe on the next order, whatever the case may be, but I'm not going to go out there and just refund it because if it already says delivered, and that's just me personally, is what it is. Now, sometimes I get requests about damaged cards. You can do 2 things. They usually send pictures, which is great. They show us because I would say probably like 99% of the time, it's a post office damaged the card somehow throughout the shipping. I don't know. You guys already know how the United States Postal Service sometimes does with delivery. I don't want to badmouth them, but it happens. Stuff gets damaged. So I usually, number one, I give them an option. They want to send it back to me, great. I mean, I'll pay whatever, the additional 63 cents. They can send it back to me and I'll refund them. If I can get the, if you want to get the card back, you can do that. Two, tell them you want to keep the card, they can keep it. I can refund them, whatever the case may be, 50% to 100%, whatever makes them happy. I just want to do right by them because I understand it's out of my hands and I didn't damage it, but I want to keep them a little, happy also because the customer, if they didn't get what they ordered in a good condition, even though it's not my fault, even though it's not me as the seller's fault, but I want to make sure they're happy. And if they want a whole refund, great. If they want 50%, they'll accept the card. So be it. Is what it is on that. So it's just kind of part of nature of doing business. And you're gonna have this happen. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, it's very, very rare, probably less than 1%, maybe 1% or less than that. That's from my experience that I've seen through all the orders that I've done on that. So, and I also, like I said, if you guys see the other video, I ship like slabs and everything. Even wax, I have some wax I post every so often. I usually do bubble wrap. I bubble wrap everything. All slabs are all bubble wrap. Even wax, I bubble wrap it all, and then I cushion up the box, whatever I can. Make sure there's not enough movement inside that box, because you already know, like I said, during the shipping, they toss it and everything. So I bubble wrap everything. On the slabs, I usually put 2 cardboards on the outside, tape it up, you see in the video, and then I bubble wrap it into a bubble mailer. It's one of those things where, if they're willing to buy a slab for me and they're willing to pay the $5, $6 shipping fee that I, charge, I usually do charge about $5 to $6, and people are like, why is shipping so high? Well, I got to get the bubble wrap it. I take my time to cut the cardboard, tape it up, make sure it's protected, and ship it. Same thing with my wax and everything. So yes, there is going to be a little bit of fee. It really costs like $4 to $5 just to ship it. That's just through the United States Postal Service. That's not including the cost of the bubble wrap, the tape, the time to do all that stuff. So that's why, in reality, $5 to $6 shipping fee is pretty cheap on those things. If it's heavier if items are heavier than that, then you just obviously go by whatever the weight is. The Postal Service charged by the weight on that. So that's how I ship on that. And then this is what I've learned. If you guys have not, followed me before, I just want to let everybody know, shipping and packaging orders is probably my euphoria. Weird, am I? I know I am. Something about picking out the cards, finding the cards that have been ordered is really unique and fun to me, because I'm like, oh wow, this is a card that I didn't think it was going to ever sell. Same thing, like, oh wow, I knew this was gonna sell. So it's one of those things. And then kind of going through the cards, sifting through them, even though I don't get to keep them, I just, I flip the cards, I get to see them, I kind of get an idea of what people are interested in. It's just the uniqueness of it. I really love it. And then packaging it, mailing it, it's just kind of my fun time of this gig, honestly, because like I said, it gives me information, what people are interested in, what people are ordering from me, and I just like the shipping part. A lot of people hate this part. I love packaging the orders. I love printing them out. Like I just said, get that printer, thermal printer. You guys will not go wrong on that. And then I don't know. It's one of those things I can do it for hours and I'm okay with. So that just means I need to get more orders. But I'm actually okay with that. That's the best part, I feel like, of this, is that I'm shipping these orders out to somebody. It's like a sale, and I'm making somebody happy that they're getting a card that they want. So that's the cool part of it. And then when I submit to, another one, because people ask, another thing when I'm doing shipping to like PSA, SGC, obviously you put everything into these, card savers. I always use card saver ones. Card saver ones are the little bit bigger ones. You can put your cards in there, and what I do is I rubber band it up, package anywhere between 15, 20 cards, whatever bulk submission you're sending it in. I bubble wrap that. And then obviously I put it in a nice box package. And then what I actually do is you have to print out the receipt or the invoice, whether it's PSA or SGC, so they can track you. so you can track your order to get stuff graded. And then I just package it really nice and neat because you don't want your cards to get there damaged and get grades of 0. So I'm just letting you guys know on that. So that's how I do it, and then just print it up and ship that out. So like I said, shipping is probably, if I've noticed it takes my day, I would calculate everything from picking the cards out to packaging to shipping everything. It's a good 3 to 3.5 hours every day I do, at least currently. I hope they increase that. That just means more orders if I can do that. So I set aside about 3.5 hours a day in case, if it goes a little bit longer, but usually about 3 hours a day, I would say. It's a good day. It's a good day. Sometimes shorter if it's I didn't get that many orders. If I get too many orders, maybe it's a little bit longer. So, but on average, about 3 hours a day, everything from packaging, or actually finding the cards, packaging it, going to the post office, delivering it, all that stuff. So it's about 3 hours a day. So that's how I calculate. So I know this was kind of a long video about shipping and all that stuff. I don't know how exciting that is, but just, if you guys are wondering how long it takes me, what do I do, kind of gives everybody a little background about that. Like I said, this is the best part of the day for me, I feel like. It's weird. Everybody thinks I'm weird. My wife thinks I'm weird. She goes, shipping? Who the hell likes to ship shit? I do. So I guess weird. Other than that, man, if you guys like this stuff, feel free to subscribe. Don't forget, check out the eBay store. Hold on, I'll put this one in first. Check out the eBay store. I'll put the eBay store, everything in the link. Every little bit helps. Go buy yourself a 99-cent card from me or whatever, or freaking big ass slab, whatever it is. It all helps me. Appreciate you guys watching this far. If you don't subscribe, it's all good. I appreciate you guys actually watch this far and spend the time, watch the video. So other than that, man, until next time, guys.